friends, welcome to an all new episode of The Top Comment. My name is Allie, and here I read and react to insane internet chaos in the form of Reddit stories. So if you like this type of content and you are not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We all know how YouTube likes to randomly unsubscribe people. And not to mention, I see about 500 of you regularly coming back and watching my videos, and I would love it if you stuck around and subscribed. It would mean so much to me. On today's episode, nothing beats a Jet2 holiday unless your kid is screaming their head off for the entire 9-hour flight and you forgot to pack the iPad. This episode is proudly sponsored by not having children. Just kidding. You guys can do whatever you want, just like I can do whatever I want. I'm going to respect your choices and you should respect mine. And if you already have kids and you have a terrible vacation story and you want to chime in the comments below, I would love you for that because these are absolutely hilarious and we're going to get right on into it. This story that we're going to be reading today comes from r/toddlers, and it's a subreddit, you guessed it, all about toddlers. It says, please tell me your vacation horror stories with toddlers to distract me from the one we just experienced. Edit. Thank you to all for sharing. We just completed a 2-day visit to Disneyland where one of our toddlers did not sleep, caught crope, couldn't breathe, 2 a.m. trip to Walgreens for steroids and a rescue inhaler, and all 4 of us, sleep deprived, had various meltdowns in the park. They are on a flight home and I'm staying for work. Thank goodness my in-laws are meeting them at home to help. If the lady with the list of why she doesn't want kids is watching this, girl, tap in. You guys know who I'm talking about? The cute little redhead. Not me, but the other cute little redhead that's on TikTok. And she has a list of why she doesn't want to have kids. And it's all these reasons that are just like this of, I want to protect my peace, basically. Well, we're going to add these stories to her list. So the top comment says, flying to San Diego last year. Flight left home at 11:30. So we were already in a rush to get lunch into the kids' bellies. Grabbed smash burger in the airport. And my 2.5-year-old demolished the whole thing on the jet bridge. I made the mistake of asking her to hold my own Dr. Pepper while I was helping my husband to wrangle the little sister and all of our stuff, and she stole a few sips. Sat down on the plane and everyone got comfortable. She went through her backpack and found her snacks. On the ascent, she found marshmallows in her backpack and inhaled all of them. As we hit cruising altitude, she starts screaming. I can't console her. She's not responding to me. Then all of a sudden, all of the junk food comes up. I see the first stream of vomit come out and I'm yelling for a barf bag. We finally get her a bag at the very last heave. There was vomit all over her and all over her stuffed sloth. Then she really started crying when she saw what had happened to Slothy. Fortunately, her car seat contained everything. While my husband took her and her sloth to clean up in the bathroom and clogged the bathroom sink in the process, I attempted to clean the car seat. It was not safely or properly cleaned. Clorox wipes were the only thing we had. Please don't come for me for the rest of the flight. We spent our entire first evening after the kids were asleep doing laundry in the hotel bathtub. I'll also never forget the grossness of reinstalling that seat in the rental car, reaching through the belt path and finding a pile of cold, wet vomit chunks I had missed. The rest of the trip was wonderful though.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday.
Don't worry, the birth control is birth controlling for me. This is my worst nightmare. I don't like puke. I don't like screaming. I get overstimulated very easily. This sounds like an absolute nightmare. And also, yeah, you should have been making sure that maybe she didn't eat all of that before getting on a plane. Oh my God. You chose to have crotch goblins and you knew the risks and associations that come with them. However, I feel terrible for the other people on that flight. They had to smell the puke. They had to deal with the screaming. Oh my God. There is nothing worse than sitting next to a screaming, relentless child on an airplane. Fortunately, I always bring headphones and I'm smart enough to where I'm not going to bitch at somebody for their kid crying because that's just unreasonable in the moment and it doesn't help anything. I'll talk shit later. For sure. We all will. If you're not going to come off of a flight with a screaming child and immediately go and complain about the screaming child, Did you even go on a flight with a screaming child? The next person says, this reminds me of my own pre-kids travel story. I was pregnant and had stress incontinence. This was February of 2020, so people were just starting to joke about COVID. I was in a plane and got sick to my stomach because of nausea and just ickiness. So I had violent vomiting in a barf bag, like loud retching, body shaking vomit. Ugh. Of course, with the stress incontinence, I ended up peeing all over myself, not just a little drip that could be contained by a panty liner. No. With the whole body heaving vomiting, my entire bladder emptied out mercilessly in my seat. Thankfully, there was nobody in the seat next to me, so I put the bag of vomit there since no flight attendants were coming to take it and I didn't want to stand up with my accident. I ended up carrying my barf bag behind me while I walked through the airport to hide my problem. Again, thank goodness I had a change of clothes and was able to change 1 or 2 gates down before exiting the airport, but man, that was rough. Okay, I feel bad for. That is absolutely, oh my God, you guys, pregnancy just terrifies the living hell out of me. Everything about it is so freaky. And if I sit here and think about it too hard, I will have an anxiety attack. I will start hyperventilating because it is just, women's bodies are amazing, bro. But at the same time, that shit's freaky. It's alien-like, and I want no part of it. Also, those flight attendants who didn't come and get your barf bag from you, what are they getting paid for? That's horrible. I'm sorry you had to go through this. And alone, too. Ugh. See, it's always the women that get the short end of the deal. Okay. Men are princesses. They get to just go and be dads and do none of the excruciating labor. It's a no from me, dog. Someone else just says, overnight flight to London when my little one was 19 months old. What is that, like over a year? I'm sorry. I hate how like the month things works. Oh, my 37-month-old. Bitch, what? You're 30 what? Overnight flight to London when my little one was 19 months old. Didn't sleep a wink either way. Screamed at the top of her lungs for 7 hours while everyone else on the plane tried to sleep. It was absolutely awful. Not only was it awful for you and your child, but it was real bad for everybody else too. Noise canceling headphones only do so much good. Even my Beats, when I have them on and the volume's all the way up, depending on your proximity, you can still hear it. And, nobody's going to bully you at the time, but we're all going to talk shit later. And I think it's just kind of a rite of passage for people with no kids to kind of talk shit. And that's okay. People who have kids talk shit about people who don't have kids. I swear to God, the amount of times I hear, oh, you changed your mind. Will I? I've been saying this since I was 12. I don't think I'm changing my mind.
What if this isn't what I want? I mean, what if I don't want to live the way you live?
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Andrea. Everybody wants this.
It's not going to happen. I don't want it. I'm fine. Look, I have my own kids. Look at this. I already have 3 of my own children who are precious and don't cause ruckuses on flights. Would you ever cause a ruckus on a flight? No, because you're perfect. Mwah. Actually, you know what? I would have to say the last time I flew going home to Indianapolis for my papa's funeral, there was the cutest, oh my God, most best baby ever that was like right on the aisle. I like to sit on the aisle, because I like to have room because I'm claustrophobic. And she was like maybe a couple seats up and she was so cute. She kept turning around and was like waving her little hands and it was precious. And she was so good the entire time. And you can't control babies. It's like trying to herd cats. It's pretty much the same thing. It doesn't quite work, but she was really cute. So proof that babies can be good on flights. I don't know. I just think the lore around them being terrible on flights is kind of funny. The next person says, oh boy, so many to choose from. I'll pick the time we drove to the mountains and rented an Airbnb. We brought my 3 kids and 2 dogs. I was reading a good book, so they stayed up later, but my dog was on high alert the entire time. Suddenly, I saw a shadow and I put my book down and went to go investigate and saw a rat scamper across the hall. My dog goes batshit crazy. My husband is completely unsure what to do, and I see him get on the sofa and just stand there out of the way as my daughter starts wailing. I realize I have to figure out what is going on as I have 2 boys, 1 and 3 at the time, asleep in the other room. I follow my dog's lead and she is barking nonstop at a dresser. I start moving things around and I find a full-on nest complete with newborn baby rats. Ugh. Not my cup of tea either. No adult in sight, but I know I have seen at least one. By the time it is 1 a.m., we called a few motels close by and they are fully booked. So we have to make the decision to pack everyone up then and there and drive back home a good 3 to 4 hours at that time. My kids are crying. I just threw everything in the back of the car and we had to drive home. And my toddlers did not go back to sleep. Felt like the longest day and night ever. They cried the entire car ride home, but we weren't going to stay because we were not about to all get sick. As for the Airbnb owner, he was a jerk who completely knew that there was a rat infestation and still rented it out because as I was looking for the rats, I found several rat traps under the beds and behind the dressers. You just don't have those lying around for no reason. So yeah, less my toddlers misbehaving though I have plenty of stories of those too, as do all of you, and more of a completely miserable and failed vacation. That wasn't even your fault, and that wasn't even your kids being bad. That's just disgusting and bad hosting from an Airbnb host like that. That is gnarly. Rats do really carry diseases, and I feel like you should probably report him to Airbnb and try to get your money back and maybe replan your vacation. Listen, I grew up going up to Lake Wawasee in Indiana, and it is my favorite place in the world. It's my happy place, right? And anytime we had to leave, I would always just feel this sinking depression. And I'm sure I probably cried and caused my mom some chaos growing up because I didn't want to leave. Like, hi, Mom. Comment below if you're watching this because she does watch this channel, which I love. But I never wanted to leave. Man, that place was my happy place. So I don't blame your kids. This is a completely reasonable exception to cry and scream because your vacation got ruined by some rats and a weirdo Airbnb host. So I feel sorry for you. Hopefully you got your money back. Someone else says, return flight visiting family. I thought he was a champ on the flight there. What could possibly go wrong? Final last words, babe. Well, he screamed hysterically for 4 out of the 5 hours on the plane. Couldn't be consoled. And I'm talking about the type of crying where they end up choking. Trying to hold him was like trying to tame a wild bear covered in Vaseline. He physically fought me as hard as he could. He scratched the hell out of my face. He bit me. Oh my God. He slept for almost an hour in the middle of the night. We thought it was over. Nope. Woke up and continued his violent screaming. I was in tears by the end of it. I thought I was going to break him trying to keep him contained in our row. Nothing helped. Tablet, snacks, phone, absolutely nothing. I had him as a lap infant, but thankfully my mom was able to move to an empty seat, so the seat between me and my husband was empty. I'm never taking a child on a plane again. This has traumatized me. A bear covered in Vaseline and having scratches all over your face and a child bite you?
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday.
Someone else says, this was years ago now, but I can still remember it so vividly. We were flying back with my 2-year-old from a quick Disneyland trip. He was understandably super tired. He had gotten a souvenir clear plastic mini cup that he was clinging to. As we got in line for TSA, an agent said we needed to have the cup go through the scanner. I asked if we could just have him carry it. You're not above the rules just because you have a kid, dude. I asked if we could just have him carry it and then test it after we walked through the metal detector, and she just said, no, rules are rules. And without even talking to me, walked up and yanked the cup out of his hand. Okay, now she's in the wrong for that. Since I couldn't even explain to him that he was going to get it back or involve him at all, or maybe it was just the inevitable, but he started scream crying mini cup over and over and over again. Even when he was reunited with the mini cup, he didn't stop crying for almost an hour, and I could feel the death stares as we walked on the plane. Then he blissfully fell asleep, but I was still resentful towards her basically forever. She even smiled as he started crying when she took the cup. What the heck? Oh, that's so mean. Don't bully kids. And also don't roll your eyes at parents who have a kid on the plane like that. Let's come talk about it later, but there's no need to give people dirty looks. It does no good. They know what's going on. She's clearly aware that her kid is screaming, and you sitting there and just being like, makes it so much worse. Don't do that. Don't be that person. It costs $0 to be kind to somebody, but it could cost you everything to be an asshole. So I'll let you guys think about that one. All right, we are going to read one more and then we're going to get out of here because I am very tired. I'm going to go take a nap and you guys are going to go take your birth control. Decided to take our almost 4-year-old and 1.5-year-old across the Atlantic to spend 3 weeks in Germany. The boys have both traveled many times prior and have done phenomenal, so we thought we were prepared. We got all checked in and got through security. We found our gate and settled in. I decided to take the kiddos for a walk to burn off any steam before a 9-hour flight. Ooh, you're smart, mama. Good job. My 4-year-old starts saying that he has to poop. I don't think much of it because he hadn't gone yet today since we were in the car for most of the day. So I drop the baby off with my husband and take the 4-year-old to go potty. He barely makes it to the toilet before pure liquid fires from his ass. We both look at each other in horror. He finishes up and I ask how he feels. He says he feels good. I chalk it up to some travel anxiety since he struggles with change in routines and unknowns. We get back to our gate and he sits down to eat his snack. The poop pains return and he continues to explode for a good hour. We still chalk it up to anxiety since nothing else is wrong. We finally board the plane and there hasn't been a poop in a bit, so we think we are good to go. We settle into the flight and start to watch some shows before dinner services come around. He is okay initially, but then starts groaning and wallowing. I'm starting to get scared. They serve dinner and he doesn't even want to touch it. I'm now freaking out. He says he wants to sit on my lap and I'm already in a row with the little guy and my husband was supposed to be manning the 4-year-old, but the baby is fine, so I snuggle him for a bit. He is wiggling and wallowing everywhere and the baby starts fussing then, so I give my 4-year-old to my husband. I'm tending to the little guy when I lean over and see my husband with an empty barf bag and covered head to toe in vomit. My 4-year-old barfed on my husband, the man beside him, their dinner trays, and their seats. No! Ah!
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday.
I am horrified. Same. I don't even know what to do. My husband is frozen. I take my son to the bathroom and let him finish throwing up and get him changed. I put a pull-up on him because he also has diarrhea again. I come back to our seats and see that the flight attendants are helping clean everyone up. The man beside my husband was the sweetest soul alive. He kept saying sorry to my son and that he hoped he felt better. Aww. My husband was in tears and the man kept patting his back and said he was a good dad and shit happens. Aww. I would have freaked the fuck out. I'm a very kind person, but I would have absolutely had a full-on panic attack at this point and then said I hoped he felt better after the plane ride. But good for this guy for having his head screwed on very tightly. My son is still miserable. Husband didn't have any clean clothes, so he had to sit in vomit-soaked clothing for the next 6.5 hours. Son is pooping his pants at this point. He has no control over himself. We didn't pack many pull-ups and diapers, so we are freaking out. We resort to wiping the diarrhea out of them to prolong them until we land for our layover. We use the last pull-up in the last 45 minutes of our flight. We land in Portugal for our layover and he seems to be doing okay. Next thing I know, my husband is running for the bathrooms. He is vomiting. I start bawling. Son poops himself again. Baby is wild because he was just cooped up for 9 hours. Our layover is 4 hours of hell. I realize we are completely out of pull-ups and diapers, so I frantically try to find an airport shop that sells them. I lost all hope after 20 minutes of looking until I see a pharmacy style shop. They have them. So we bought 4 packs and just continued to support my son as he rotated between vomiting and pooping. My husband is also sick frequently. He thinks it's just from smelling the vomit and all the stress and not actually a bug because he eventually begins to feel better. Oh my God. Final last words here. This story is giving me anxiety. Our 3-hour flight to Germany was uneventful, thank heavens. No more poop or vomit, and my son even sips some ginger ale and nibbles on some crackers. We land in Germany and meet up with my parents. Everyone is exhausted but feeling a bit better. My son was almost back to 100% the next day, although a bit weak. We were traumatized to say the least, but excited that it was short-lived and we can start our vacation. Well, guess what? Our 1.5-year-old projectile vomits spaghetti all over our Airbnb's white living room after waking up at 9 p.m. crying for me. He was so sick for hours. We finally got him settled around midnight, although he was still throwing up. He threw up on himself right before he went to bed. I got him cleaned up and bathed while my husband got clean PJs ready. We got him dried off and standing up to get him his PJs on. I have no idea why or how, but he stiffens up and screams when I stand him up to get on the couch and dress him. I wasn't expecting it, so I lost my grip and smashed the back of his head onto the marble windowsill. Blood is gushing from a wound on his skull. He starts vomiting and I'm holding my hand over his wound. My husband is super sensitive to blood, so he starts getting lightheaded lightheaded as he tries to get paper towels. I scream for my sleeping mom since she's a retired nurse. She helped me put pressure on his head as I hold his barf bucket. The bleeding doesn't want to stop, but we were able to eventually evaluate the wound. She said it could use stitches, but also thinks it could heal fine without, but would leave a bigger scar. I decided to let it be since we finally got the bleeding to stop. I wrap a makeshift bandage around with a Band-Aid, paper towels, and a headband of my own. Everything calms down and we got him to bed. He threw up the entire night, but woke up happy and feeling much better. Trip goes well on for another week until my husband comes down with the bug. He's sick for 3 more days with vomiting and diarrhea. I am avoiding him like the plague since I have been spared so far. He gets better and I never got sick, but we had a very welcomed, uneventful flight home. We are so severely traumatized after that trip, like genuine PTSD, and can't even fathom traveling with our kids ever again like this. We have no intentions of taking them until they're in upper elementary and early middle school aged. It was hands down the hardest thing I've ever encountered as a parent so far. My 1.5-year-old is now almost 3 and has a stellar scar on his noggin. Thankfully, it isn't visible unless his head is buzzed. Husband actually just had the stomach bug 2 weeks ago again, but we shunned him to the master bedroom and all 3 of us never got sick. We haven't thrown up once since that terrible, terrible week. On God, I could not handle that. When I tell you guys, my head would absolutely explode. I can't even handle that if it's coming from my own self without breaking down, let alone having to be responsible for another human. Oh my God. Shout out to all the parents out there. You guys are literal rock stars. You're crazy for having crotch goblins, but you are doing the Lord's work. And I respect the hell out of you guys for it, because me, nope. Sometimes Roman will come and he doesn't throw up like normal dogs. There's no like, you know how they like do that like gagging thing. He doesn't do any of that. Sometimes he'll just come and he just throws up. He'll just be standing there and then all of a sudden it comes out. That grosses me out so bad, especially when it's on my bed when I'm like trying to sleep. Love him. It's fine. It happens and we work through it. But when it's children and there's also screaming on top of it, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm cooked. I'm cashed. See you in the next one. If you are a parent and you have a vacation nightmare, dude, comment down below. Let me know what it is. Does it trump any of these? Who do you feel the worst for? I always feel bad for little kids when they're sick. Cause like, and you know, especially the teeny tiny ones that can't really like tell you where it hurts and they can't explain that, hey, I feel like I'm going to throw up. You know, I feel bad for the dad that got covered in the vomit. I feel bad for all these people. But hey, these are the consequences of your actions. And I know that a lot of parents are like, oh, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And hey, more power to you. Let you guys do all the work. I'll just sit back and be the cool auntie. I'm fine with that. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. It's good to be back. I don't know. I just really like needed some time to take care of my mental health and to just sleep. Honestly, I've just been sleeping a lot. And that's okay. The best way to get anything you want in life is to sleep, because your body can't function without it. It really can't. So the all-nighters and the 3 hours of sleep and the weird sleep schedules and stuff, it doesn't work for me anymore. And I'm discovering that. And so with that, I just have to take a little bit better care of myself. And I hope that you guys are too. Okay. Please take care of yourself. Please. If you feel like you need an extra hour of sleep, get it. You can push your shower off until later in the night, whatever. Or you feel like your mental health just isn't like 100% or your physical health isn't 100%, take care of yourself. Life's too short and we're all going to die someday. And I don't like say that to be like morbid or anything, but it's the truth. Take care of yourself. Enjoy your life. I love you so much. And I'll see you in the next one. I'm not quite sure if it's going to be on Thursday or if it's going to be next week. But I'll keep you guys updated with my posts. So again, I love you. I appreciate your support. And remember,
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday.
Okay, bye.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50